All right. Well, I think we're live. Welcome to the Jersey City Heights Board of Education Candidate Forum for 2022. My name is Nick Lawrence. I'm the president of the Washington Park Association. I'll be moderating tonight. I'd like to introduce our community groups who helped to organize this evening's event. We have the Riverview Neighborhood Association. Jocelyn Patrick, the president of that association, is one of our moderators. We have the Heights Community Coalition with Pankaj Kapadia, who is also on with us tonight. We have the Nitty Gritty Social Group with a few people to help us organize tonight and help spread the word for tonight. And we also have a Heights community leader from PS 28, Lindsay Buller Malakal. She is on helping us to moderate as well tonight and kind of sift through a lot of your audience questions. The format for this evening will be a moderated event. It's 90 minutes. Again, my name is Nick Lawrence. A little bit of background on me, just so you know where I'm coming from, is I'm, again, the president of the Washington Park Association, one of the community groups in the Heights. I'm also the father of a student who is at PS 28 in the first grade. I'm also, by day, a school administrator in the Bronx, where I've worked at a school there, a public school there for the last 15 years. So a lot of the questions that we are asking tonight are sort of rooted in some of that experience. So the format tonight, we are going to have some introductions from our slates and candidates. Then we're going to follow that with 40 to 50 minutes of moderated questions that were crafted by those who helped organize tonight. They are based in a pre-forum survey we sent to all candidates, and they filled that survey out. We'll share the link to a document that has their responses to that this evening. After that 40 to 50 minutes of moderated questions, we'll have the opportunity to have audience questions. Those are going to be submitted to Lindsay, who is showing up as she shows up or as ask questions here on this platform, or you can submit questions via the Facebook stream directly. And also, Lindsay, if you could post the link to a Google form as well, if that's possible. That's a third option for asking questions for the candidates. And then she will be looking through those those 45 minutes we get started in, and then we'll pose some of those questions at the end that seem most pertinent. So the background on this election. This is a Jersey City Board of Education election. There are 3 seats open out of the 9 seats on the board. All 3 seats have 3-year terms. There are 2 slates vying for those terms, and there are 2 independent candidates. The independent candidates, all these candidates will be able to introduce themselves in a couple of minutes. The slates are Education Matters and Change for Children. These have been the 2 slates in the Jersey City Board of Education elections for the last number of years. And as is no secret, the part of the characteristics of those slates are that one is affiliated with the state and local teachers union, and one has support from local developers to help run their campaigns. So the current makeup of the board we also felt was important to share. Again, there are 9 members on the board. The 6 seats that are not up for election were elected through the Education Matters slate. And then there are 2 incumbents running tonight, Alexander Hamilton and Noemi Vasquez, who I'm not sure if she's joined us yet. Maybe she will. Those 2 are running for their seats again. And then we have a 3rd seat that is being vacated by Board President Gerald Lyons. So those are the 3 seats that are up for grabs in this election. This forum, some expectations. This is a forum, not a debate. So we frame this every year as such. This is not a place for people to have like drawn out arguments or anything of this nature. We really just want to get to know our candidates and help our community get to know our candidates. So everyone in the Heights, especially, but beyond that as well, of course. This is an online forum, so of course anybody could log in if they prefer. Based on the forums that have occurred and will occur, I know that there are other areas of the city that don't have a forum coming up. So I hope that they also have been able to access this. The other things about the format tonight, there are no candidate has received any questions ahead of time that I will be asking. The general length of response is we went over with the candidates just prior to the event. We try to make sure it's evened out. and you'll see that across the screen, and we'll make sure that everyone gets to say their piece, because that's the point. So beyond that, I think we're going to move into introductions. So that is, I think, Jocelyn, we are actually going to have the first poll question. And the way that's going to work, candidates, is that there's a QR code that's going to show up on the screen. And you can either scan it with your phone. Every camera, I think, in existence now has a QR reader, or you can join at slido.com. And this is just a first question of the evening, which is, what is the best part of the Jersey City Public Schools? We'll give you a second to answer that. So that's a multiple choice question. And then we're going to kind of tee you up to speak about that and everything else in your introduction. So I'll wait just a minute while you do that. All right, looks like diversity of our student body, 75%. Great. Do we have everybody in? So it seems like
my phone's so slow. I'm sorry.
That is okay. That is okay. Something else not on this list as well. So this is great. Thank you for responding to that. The diversity of our student body, I think, even though those who did not say that was the best part, I can imagine wouldn't agree with that. So I think everyone who lives in Jersey City is very proud of the diversity of our city and, of course, of our students and our public schools. We're going to move into introductions. I'm going to start with a slate, and then move to the next slate, and then to our independent candidate who's on with us tonight. So let me just make sure I have a list here. Things that you should probably say are your name, your slate, reasons you're running for the board, or running for re-election, and then general qualifications you have to be a school board member in Jersey City. So I'm going to let's start with the Change for Children slate, and we can start with Alexander Hamilton.
Thank you, Dick. I appreciate that, and thank you for this event and giving us the opportunity to talk. Yes, I am Alexander Hamilton. I am rerunning for school board. I served my first 3 years, and I'm interested in coming back. First and foremost, I'm a father of a 6th grade special needs child at PS 37. So I have a vested interest in what I'm doing because I have a child who attends our public schools. Secondly, I'd like to say, one of the big reasons why I'm rerunning is because I would like to see a lot more accountability and transparency, especially when it comes to this budget. Obviously, as everyone knows, the board just passed a tremendous increase on the tax levy for everyone. I voted against it. The vote passed 5-4, which is very close this time. I've lost it 8-1, 7-2, and 5-4. And I voted against it not because I don't believe in funding for children, but I believe in responsible funding for children. I want to know where this money is going. And I think when you ask the taxpayers of such a large amount of money, you need to make sure that you get that clarified. They should be able to see a plan of action. Don't just ask for the money. We need to actually have a plan that people can see and understand where that money is going to go. But another big reason why I'm running is because Nick pointed out earlier, I'm the only independent person on this board that's not affiliated with the Education Matters team on this board currently. Okay, so basically it's 8 Education Matters board members and me right now. I'm running also because I don't want to see this board taken over by all union candidates. I think that's very important. I think it's important to always have differing point of views. If we wind up with a board with 9 Education Matters candidates, you're going to wind up with a board that is heavily union friendly. I'm not against union. I'm pro-union, but I do not think the teachers union should control the board and control the funding at the same time when we enter a contract negotiation year. Be very clear about that. Why this is super important. If you think the budget went up a lot in the past, just wait till they have 9 seats controlling this board, and you'll see this budget go up again, and there'll be less and less accountability. I believe I'm qualified because of my business background. and my community service that I provide. I'm the president of my condo board. I also serve at the Hamilton Park Conservancy. I was very involved in my neighborhood downtown. So I appreciate your time today, and I am looking forward to answering any questions and all questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. We're going to move to Kenny Reyes.
All right, folks. Good evening. My name is Kenny Reyes. I want to start off by thanking the Jersey City Heights Forum for inviting us tonight, as well as Nick for hosting, the Riverview Neighborhood Association, the Heights Community Association, Nitty Gritty Social Group, as well as Lindsay. So thank you very much for having us here. So I have an important title, which is dad. I have two boys that are special needs. Both of them are enrolled in the Jersey City School District at PS 39 and at Jersey City Community Charter School. And both of them are IEPs. Both of them are artistic. And one of the reason why I decided to actually be involved politically in the process of running for this campaign is because during the pandemic, I had the great opportunity to work from home. And when I was working from home, then I was able to see exactly how my sons were learning and the quality of education that we're learning as well. And I started becoming a lot more concerned. As years passed by, I started realizing that they weren't getting as prepared as I thought they were. And I started getting extremely concerned with that, especially the fact that they're special needs children. And I started getting involved in terms of communicating with the special ed department. And I was like, and then at one moment, I was like, I have to get more involved politically. So I decided to do that. The second reason is, on top of that, is we started receiving all of these tax bills. And we started paying a lot of attention to these tax bills that we were about to start paying. And when we started looking at the massive tax rate, that's a tax bill that we're at now at $973 million, not including the windfall of $89 million that came from the state, we start pairing that as parents with the quality education the kids are receiving. And there's a massive disconnect there. When we're speaking with the teachers also, they're telling us that they're working with old or outdated materials as well. There's another massive disconnect there. And then we started looking back in terms of the other issues that the schools were happening. And we started seeing all these other problems. And like, well, how is it possible that we have a budget of $973 million? So where is all this money going? Where's the accountability piece? Where's the communication piece now? Where's the transparency piece? And I had the opportunity of linking with Alex Hamilton and with Tony, who is not here tonight. And we all share the same ideals. We are parents. Tony also had a son in the educational system here in Jersey City. She's an educator. And we feel that the presence moment now in terms of this budget that the city's enacted, that the Board of Education enacted, just doesn't correlate specifically in terms of what our kids are receiving at the moment now. There's a big disconnect. There's a big reason why we're having these issues now. And we feel like we are the best candidates now to rectify that. A little bit about me in terms of qualifications. So I'm in the private sector. I'm in the recruiting industry specifically. I also am a co-owner of an auto body repair shop here in Jersey City as well. I've been doing that for the past 10 years. So when it comes to actually the accounting piece and when it comes to looking at the financial statements, I have great experience when it comes to that. So then this way we can decipher those skills and bring it on to the school board specifically to see where exactly we can have more efficiencies when it comes to managing a budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move to the Education Matters slate. And we'll be rotating this around, just to be clear, for people who are studying. So let's go to Ms. Mohammed, Afaf Mohammed.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me on the forum. I'm always happy to be here. This is my second time here. This is my second time running. And last year I ran as an independent because I was not going to give up. Just because, I didn't get on the JCEA slate, which was originally where I wanted to be. So fortunately, I was asked to run with the JCEA this year. And I think that they see the importance of me being an independent thinker. That's why they chose me. They understand that I'm not just going to go along to get along, and that I'm going to stand with truth and with and bring a balance to understanding between the parents and the council. I have been in Jersey City Public Schools as a volunteer parent council president for PS23. I've done that for about 3 to 4 years. I've been involved with the arts, the theater arts department when they had one. So I helped with the plays and all of that, with the costumes. I made costumes and did makeup. So I'm an artist. I believe that art should be in schools. I'm a very big supporter of arts, of the arts, science. Let me see what else. There's so many things that I've done. I've created programs where I've been able to sit with children who have social emotional issues to help them focus on their schoolwork and just have conflict resolution through some of the organizations in Jersey City, the anti-violence, Jersey City Anti-Violence. I was a unit director, unit manager at Marion Gardens for the Boys and Girls Club during the pandemic, and I witnessed the children falling behind in homework and schoolwork. So we took time with them and explained to them how important this is for them to catch up. And, we got them all caught up and they learned at the same time. So it was just seeing that, and even having my own children. I have 4 daughters who actually graduated from Jersey City Public Schools. I saw a lot of the mental health issues that came along with the pandemic, and then them going back into school, they had a lot of social, how I say, a little social complications where, certain things shouldn't be said in front of each other, or, how they interact with each other, and then an excitement of being back in school. So let me see. What's the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
I think that you hit all the big ones, and
Okay.
we have to make sure we're getting through introductions. We'll have plenty of time to see all the other pieces for sure. Thank you. Let's see. The next person is going to be who are we going to next? Christopher Tisdale.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Christopher Tisdale. I am a part of the Education Matters slate, and just like Afaf, I was also asked to run on the Education Matters slate because of my independent thinking. So our platform is all about teach, and so what that indicates is transparency, equity, accountability, community, and honesty. The truth is one of the things that has been lacking in the district for so many years. A lot of inefficiency, so to say, and no transparency at all. Board members for years have been saying they don't understand where the money is going, which makes absolutely no sense. So the reason that I decided to accept the invitation to run is because I definitely believe that it's time for a big change in the city. There's a lot of construction happening around the city, and the education system doesn't match. So there actually needs to be a whole rebranding of what's taking place here. So that's part of the reason that I decided to run, not because I'm friendly with a particular group or because I want to run in a certain direction. I am qualified to do this job because I am a certified teacher, supervisor, principal, and school administrator. I've been working in education since 2000. I worked at a parochial school, charter school, and at the university level. So my career spans from pre-K all the way to the university, in addition to having written a charter in 2010. I understand the politics of education and the functions of the Board of Education. And one of the things that definitely needs to happen is stricter accountability for what's happening in the administrative office. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you. All right. We're going to move to Isnel Sanan, who is an independent candidate who is also billing his independent slate as the voice for progress. Oh, you're still muted, sir. We might have lost him for a moment. John,
Looks like you lost him because it says his device is not connected. Do you want to, I think, if you let me know when we can, since we're stopping now, I'll add Noemi, I'll add her in.
let's add her. No, I mean, she joined a little bit late, and so we're going to have her. She is on the Education Matters slate, and we're going to, Ms. Velazquez, welcome tonight. We're going to let you introduce yourself and say why you're running.
Good evening. And first of all, thank you for inviting me to this forum. And I do apologize. Yes, I was a little bit late because I'm having difficulty with my computer as well as with my phone. But I hope that I can stay on via my phone for the remainder of this forum. Yes, I am Noemi Velasquez, and I am running with Education Matters. Because I am returning. I'm an incumbent, and I am returning because I do believe there's still quite a bit of work that I can assist with, given my expertise. I am an educator. I've been a teacher in Jersey City. I've been an administrator. I've worked for over 40 years in the school district. And 3 years ago, I did run. And in as much as I heard that perhaps if we run with the union, we're going to do as the union says. But I didn't run with the union before, and I was an independent thinker then. I run with the union now. I've never been an adversary of the union, but that doesn't mean that I am not going to speak what I feel, speak what I think is right, defend what I think is right, and oppose what I think ought not be. My focus has always been the students first, and to ensure that they have the best education and continue in that manner. Yes, I did vote for the increased budget, but I did not vote to increase taxes. That is not on us. And I do believe that coming back to this board, I can continue to work since we have new leadership, we have new initiatives, and I strongly believe in the leadership and what the future holds. And I'd like to come back to ensure that I am part of that, and not just part of it because I would like to be, but because I know that I can impart my expertise, my knowledge, my academic preparation, and my work with students, with students, parents, and the community as well. I think we are all partners here, and our focus should be to improve education because and continue to improve education. And I think we're heading in the right direction.
Thank you, Ms. Velasquez.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us. When Mr. Sanon signs back on, we're going to let him introduce himself as we go into moderated questions, but we're going to keep moving. We're going to move into.
Hey, Nick, I'm gonna interrupt you again. We have another person who is unfortunately late, Hassan Nawaz.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. Nawaz.
Hi, how are you guys? I'm so sorry. Yeah, I really, really apologize for this.
Well, you are, sir. We're just wrapping up introductions. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, you are one of the 2 independent candidates running this season. So go ahead.
Hi, guys. My name is Hassan Nawaz. I'm a resident of Jersey City. I went to PS number 5, then went to Ferris High School, and ultimately graduating from NJIT. While I was in college, I started doing real estate and got my bachelor's of science. And while I was in college, I did real estate, and I loved real estate. And once when I was doing it started as a part-time thing. You know, when you work at Dunkin' Donut, I was making like $350 a month, and then I started doing real estate. My first day, I made like $4,500. I'm like, something is wrong with the world. So I never looked back. I became a full-time real estate agent and finished my college. And now as I grew up in Jersey City, I went to this school district, and I just wanted to be part of this change and part of this historic city and make this one of the greatest district in the world and be part of this community, you know?
Great. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us tonight. Glad we get everybody on. We're going to move into moderated questions. Jocelyn, I think we're going to go to the second poll question, actually, which is, if you could put that up on the screen, which is, what would you advise the Board of Education's trustees to focus on most in this coming year? And then we'll have some options up there. She'll post that now. And again, this is going to go up on the screen. It has a QR code, and you can go ahead and type in the link as well. So we'll give you a minute to do that. Finding the district. We have one in now. So. Support teacher administrators. We have 3 of you in. Great. Five of you responded. Now, as you are, the last couple get their vote in. Sounds somewhat split, right? These are all important things. There's something else. We have a relationship with the city council and mayor, safety for students, opportunities for students. So these are a lot of things. These are a lot of things that the board needs to consider. These are a lot of things that the superintendent needs to consider. So we're going to move into our first moderated question and talk about one of 2 key elements of.
Nick?
I'm sorry? Yes.
I apologize. I'm back.
Great. All right. Mr. Sun, I'm going to let you introduce yourself as we start this next question, okay? And so we'll give you an extra minute to do that. So the 2 key elements from our perspective, 2 big parts of the Board of Education, the job of trustees. One is to pass a budget for our schools, and the other, another big one, is to evaluate the superintendent. I think that the superintendent piece is oftentimes overlooked. As someone who works in schools, who works directly with the superintendent very regularly, mine is coming next week to our school. That evaluation we don't see or hear a lot of. So in that poll, you pointed to many of the things that you all want to see, and the things that you want to see oftentimes are enacted indirectly through your influence as a board member, because the superintendent is in charge of the schools. So this is going to go 1 minute per candidate. And the question, we're going to split actually not via slate, but to new candidates versus incumbents. And so I'm going to start with new candidates from the top of my list. And the question for new candidates is, what qualifications do you have to evaluate a superintendent? And what is one thing, maybe based on that survey, what is one thing you intend to hold the superintendent accountable for? So we're going to start with Mr. Sanan. You can introduce yourself with 1 minute, and then 1 minute to respond to that. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Esnel Sanan, running on 4I, Voice for Progress. As far as my qualification, currently I work for the private sector for the last 14 years, and afterwards NAACP 4 years, committee man 6 years, as well as homeowner and businessman for the last 13 years. Now, as far as the questions about qualifications and relationship, as far as myself, one of the things that I want to do getting into the board is to form a relationship with the superintendent. In addition to that, one of the key things that I believe that we need to do as board members is support the superintendent, making sure that the person has adequate staffing and making sure that they are showing up for the job, not meetings after meetings, leaving much needed decision making in a back burner. Now, as far as evaluating, one thing I've learned over the past, I would say 8 years, part of our problem that I evaluated as a business owner, as well as a free property owner, I realized that decision making as well as negotiating is absent from the board, as well as connecting with the superintendent to make those decisions. There's no one negotiating with the city councils, no one negotiating with the mayors, with the state, with the county, ready to kind of give us the support that we need. A lot of finger pointing going on. Whenever something goes wrong, either the city point the finger at the Board of Ed pointed at the city, or pointed at the teacher. So for me, three homes getting taxed left to right, and there's no accountability, there's no productivity, this is wrong. And we can't keep hiring a superintendent and push them out saying that they're not doing the job. We need to evaluate them, we need to work with them, and we need to make sure that they are delivering the work that we ask them to do.
All right, thank you. We're going to move to the other independent candidate, and then we'll move to the slates. Mr. Nawaz, would you like to respond to that question? Again, it is, what qualifications do you have to evaluate the superintendent, and what is one thing you intend to hold the superintendent accountable for? You're muted, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Well, what qualifications do I have? Well, everyone in this room is very well qualified, and we are all here to make a difference, make a change. And we all have our own opinions. And me personally, I look forward to working with the superintendent and making the changes that are necessary. We have had a lot of finger pointing. I look forward to making a change in back in 2017, we had a tax roll pay cut, which when state cut our aid, and we had this new law, which was the payroll taxes, which is not being enforced properly, which is around 1%. I would work with superintendent in making sure that is enforced properly, which would, don't quote me on the numbers, but I believe roughly around 50 million in revenue yearly. Along with that, I would work with the superintendent in making sure that all the tax cuts, tax abatements that we have, the Jersey City mayor and the Jersey City municipality has been pointing fingers, and this is not a way to solve any problem, because they have given tax, as being from the real estate industry, we have a lot of tax abatements. If you were to look into the records, over $10 billion in tax abatements, which is a lot of money that the city is not, the Board of Education is not being paid for. So I would work with the superintendent and everybody in making sure that this is taken care of, enforcing these things and roles, and making sure that everything is in place.
Thank you. We're going to move back to the Education Matters slate. We're going to start with Christopher Tisdale. You would like to respond to the question of the superintendent?
Okay, so I think the question is, what qualifications do I have to evaluate the superintendent, and what am I going to hold the superintendent accountable for, correct?
Correct, sir. Yes.
Okay, so first and foremost, I think that because I sat for the same test and I have the same credential, I understand exactly what the superintendent is supposed to be doing. And so with that said, I also want to understand, is the superintendent providing programs to the board to vote on that are equitable and quality programs that are going to meet the needs of the students? Is the superintendent holding the people underneath her accountable for the jobs that they're in the roles to do? Are the people in position that need to be in position to do the jobs? So I'm going to be looking at the entire educational program and the qualifications and what's actually being implemented to make sure that the superintendent is not just telling us that this is happening. I also want to see that things are being done within timely timeframes, and that deadlines are being met, and that policies are being adhered to. That's a big issue. Things are being done and the policies are not necessarily aligning with the things that are coming down the pipe that sometimes the board is voting on. So I want clear transparency. We want to understand what you say you're doing, you're actually doing, and that it's working, and that what's working is being moved forward, and what's not working is being eliminated, and wasteful spending is being taken out of the equation so that the district can prosper and the students can all achieve.
Thank you. Next up, we'll have Fatma Mohammed. Ms. Mohammed.
Okay, so I got the qualifications part, but what was I'm going to ask you again about the superintendent question when I finish.
Yeah, one thing you'll hold the superintendent accountable for.
Okay. So my qualifications are: I'm a former student. I'm a parent of public school students that graduated. I've been in the schools supporting teachers in the classrooms. So I see things that are behind the scenes, and I see other just being in the school itself, you can see what's happening and what should be happening, what's not happening. I'm a logical and critical thinker. So the thing that I would hold the superintendent accountable for is to be well connected to the district and reporting any setbacks or needs at a timely manner.
Thank you. All right. Next, we'll go to Ms. Velasquez. Same question. Oh, sorry, ma'am, you're still muted, Ms. Velasquez.
I'm sorry. Yes, I too have credentials as a superintendent. As an administrator, we all have the opportunity to continue our academic education so that we can, in turn, receive various credentials. One of those credentials that I've attained is that of superintendent's license. Okay, so therefore, I have background knowledge as to how I would and how I do hold the superintendent accountable or evaluate the superintendent. First of all, prior to our evaluation of the superintendent evaluates him or herself. That evaluation is submitted to us, and we will go category by category, and we either agree, disagree, and if we agree, we must state why. And if we don't agree, again, we state why, but we also give recommendations and a timeline for improvement on various categories. That is an annual evaluation. But what we did this past year was, because the superintendent that we have presently only had like 6 months on the job, we each were allowed to write a thorough evaluation of what we thought were the strengths and the areas that the superintendent needed to show improvement in. That was submitted. However, when the new evaluation come, is just as I said, she will evaluate herself. That will be submitted to us. We will address it accordingly. But the one thing that actually, there are two things that I'd like to hold the superintendent accountable for. Is actually for the finance of the district, because there has been a lot of talk with regards to the finance and regards to the budget. So I did vote for that, but I'm not just going to turn look the other way and allow money to just be spent in a not smart way or not go to the proper sources. The other thing that I'd like to evaluate the superintendent, other than the background and how she addresses pedagogy and how she stays current with the current pedagogy and all of that. I'd like to ensure that she builds relationship with the city, with the county, and all stakeholders, because especially now that we've gone to local control, we need to make sure that we work in as much as we keep control of the governance of this body. We need to ensure that we bridge, that we make those bridges to ensure that we are all working together for the betterment of the district and all students.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we're going to have Mr. Reyes, Kenny Reyes.
Okay, so I want to start off by applauding Dr. Norma Fernandez on her appointment, specifically being the superintendent in Jersey City, being the first Latina superintendent is a great accomplishment, and it should be celebrated. However, it's the board's responsibility to ensure that she's successful. Now, when it comes to evaluation of the superintendent, what I would like to see and how I would evaluate a superintendent is based on the track record. Okay, so in terms of track record, how have you moved the district forward, whether that may be through test scores? How have you when it comes to teacher morale, for example, has teacher morale been boosted or not? What about the engagement with the community, with the parents specifically as well? Engagement with the board, and then most importantly, the oversight of the actual budget. All right, ensuring that every aspect of the school is actually taken care of and it's not bankrupting the district, especially when it comes to teachers contracts and labor contracts, right, where the teachers are being paid, provided a fair contract. Labor is providing a fair contract as well, but it doesn't hinder in terms of the extra costs when it comes to taxpayers, and so our tax levy doesn't increase. So what I am going to hold the superintendent accountable for is very, very simple. It's just the person's mission statement. In this case, Dr. Norma Fernandez, her mission statement, as well as her plan that she should be enacting in terms of her vision of the district and how she wants to manage and supervise the district. I will just stick to that feature right there and then see, for example, are you following your plan? And if you're not following your plan, okay, why not? Where are the shortcomings there? Is it a support thing? Is it a political thing? So and then continue to hold her accountable there.
Thank you. The last for this question is Mr. Hamilton.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I want to be very clear that the two most important things that a school board does, number one, is not only elect a superintendent, but also make sure that we give the feedback and proper grades for the superintendent. The second thing is the budget. Okay, we do that every year. Superintendent maybe once every 3, once every 5, depending on what the circumstances are. I also want to say that I was in favor of a national search, which this board did pass a resolution to do, and then we did not do that. Now, that does not mean that I do not believe that Norma Fernandez is a qualified superintendent, because I think that she is. But I think that when the board passes a resolution to do something, we should have done that, especially when it's something as serious as that. That being said, we need to work with Dr. Fernandez as far as what's best for the district now, right? Because she is the superintendent. So why am I qualified to make sure that happens? Well, I'm the partial owner of, a recruitment company. I'm actually the director of talent acquisition. I know how to find people's strengths. I know how to evaluate the weaknesses, and I understand how to hold them accountable. I do it all day. Okay. So where would I hold the superintendent accountable, and what would I suggest? Well, first of all, I would definitely suggest that we figure out ways that we can work with the state, the city, the county, as far as this budget goes. I think that it is incumbent upon the administration as well as the board, because I know that Noemi will probably agree with me. The board is being a little sick and tired of feeling like we are responsible solely for this budget. And we need to find ways of working with everybody. Like I said, the state, the county, the city. So I would hold the superintendent to make sure that, the superintendent is maintaining a good relationship with all of those particular groups, because it is important. We can't solve this problem alone. we need outside help, we have to negotiate that through the administration and through the school board. As far as what my running mate, Mr. Reyes, said, I agree with him. You have to hold people accountable for their decisions are. So you have to look at things like the results. You have to look specifically at like infrastructure, teacher relationships, safety of our children, learning ability, and also finding waste. Because I'm guaranteeing you that with this huge $970 million budget, there is waste. So we want to make sure that we're controlling that and that every dollar that we bring into the system is going to find its way to our children. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
May I?
I'm sorry?
Oh, I just wanted, if I have a second.
30 seconds.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that the what was presented by Mr. Reyes and also Alexander Hamilton is exactly what is part of that evaluation. So yeah, we'll have an opportunity to evaluate her or him, whomever, on everything. And those points that they brought up are definitely on the evaluation that the state mandates.
Thank you. So a lot of you pointed to budget, and so then we're going to move to that topic. The budget, obviously, probably the largest issue in the news and definitely on everyone's mind. Some of you brought up some of the facts about the budget. It's pretty complex. A lot of individual residents of Jersey City do not understand the complexity of it, and they don't know just the parts of it necessarily. The biggest thing, obviously, in the last number of years was that the state aid was drawn down to what was legally required to pay from the state, which is essentially led
Okay,
to
hold on. I'm interrupting here, Nick. There's a bleed over somewhere.
I'm sorry, what?
There's a bleed over as if two people are talking over each other. I'm muting everybody.
Jocelyn, if you have recently gone onto the Facebook page, you're probably hearing the Facebook page and the StreamYard.
I shouldn't be because everything is muted on my end. There's no sound or anything. All right. Okay. All right.
Are there simultaneous sound, or is it just clear in one person? Good. All right, we'll keep going. All right, so that said about the budget gap, we know that it was a lot of money, and that one of the things the board did do was pass a budget to maintain, but also expand the budget slightly, and then the tax levy went way up. So that is something that it's definitely a front and center for voters, and that is not going to change next year either. We're going to have a larger gap next year, right, for at least one more year. So the questions, we have a couple of questions about budget. One, it goes to just the user, like communicating about the budget. So there is a user-friendly budget on the Jersey City Public Schools website, which I think personally, as someone who helps to manage a $6 million budget in a school in the Bronx, is the opposite of user-friendly. It's very difficult to read and understand. It is difficult for really, even I had to sit down for a very long time to understand the categories and subtotals and like what the dollar amounts from state, city, county, federal, right? So the first question is, how can you as board members, and this is going to go to slates and independents, as I said initially, how can you better communicate about the budget to the residents of Jersey City? So we're going to start with slates, and we're going to do 2 minutes per slate and 1 minute for each independent candidate on this question. So this has to do with clarity of communication about the budget to Jersey City residents. Let's start with the Change for Children slate.
Alexander here. Should I take that? Yeah. Okay. So I think first of all, we've talked a lot about transparency and accountability, and what you said, Nick, is right about the website. It doesn't really generate confidence when you can look at it and you don't really understand everything that's going on. I think it's something that time needs to be spent more of in our public meetings. I think that we need to actually talk about budget more. That was something that I pushed for before. I think the BA had agreed to talk about it at least 4 times a year now, so that we can have a little bit more transparency. Because if you remember, I'm sure everyone here knows, we only had one annual budget meeting a year, which is really not enough to keep people abreast of what's going on and informed. So they at least, the administration, at least at that point, raised it to quarterly. I think it should probably be every other month at this point, because I think you need to keep an eye on what's going on specifically with the money. The other thing I think we need to do as a district is I think we definitely need to hire a budget officer. This is something I've been saying for a while. This position has been non-existent under this administration or in Jersey City. Now, what does a budget officer do? Effectively, that person is in charge of making sure that the money is being spent properly. Because the way the hierarchy works in our system is we have a superintendent who's effectively a CFO, and we have a BA that's effectively a COO and a CFO in one. Okay. Now, I don't know any company that operates that way, but I think part of the problem we have with the way Jersey City is running is we don't have someone who says no. We don't have someone who says you can't do that. Usually that's the job of the CFO. I know that because I had a startup and I used to run into a lot of problems with my CFO telling me no. But ultimately, their goal was to make sure that we weren't spending money ridiculously. It was being allocated properly, and there was transparency amongst everybody in the company so they could understand what was going on. I think that's a necessary position. And yes, it may be taking on more salary of $150,000 plus a year, but if we can find waste and we can find ways to get this organized and also have better transparency, which is what you're saying about the website, Nick, again, that's something that we definitely need to do, as well as talking about it more regularly in our meetings. It shouldn't just be something that comes up that all of a sudden we vote on and it's over. And then everyone's like, what's going on? It should be something that is discussed regularly. Thank you.
We're still on the slate, right, Nick?
Yes. How much time we have time, Justin? Total. I didn't see the banner across the bottom. So go ahead, Mr. Reyes.
Okay. So everything that my partner, Mr. Hamilton, said is completely true, right? We are very attuned when it comes to the transparency aspect of things. And you're right, Nick. When you actually go on the website, it's very difficult to understand what's what. So I always put myself in the shoes of an average homeowner who is extremely busy, has their children, has to come home and help out with the kids. And then they get these tax bills and they're trying to understand, well, why did my tax bills go up $300 this quarter? For what, right? And then we got to do a better job the board also has to do a better job in terms of communicating specifically. And that's where the transparency piece comes in terms of why is your property taxes being increased? And it's extremely very simple to actually to communicate with the general public, right? And it's about, hey, listen, your taxes are split, but split up by three ways. They're split up by the city, they're split up by the county, and they're split up by the Board of Education. So when you look at your tax bill, that's where you're going to see. Now, however, when it comes to the Board of Education, we just got to be as easy as going when it comes to communicating. Hey, this is what the budget was. The budget was a year ago or so was like a little over $700 million. The budget now is $973 million. So the taxes went up close to $300 million. That's a fact, right? And then you explain to people specifically, okay, here is the reason why. Here's the reason why, right? They have to understand the issues that happen with the state. Yes. But the grand scheme of things is your budget is almost $1 billion right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. That's fine. All right. We're going to move to the end. Thank you, Change for Children. I want to make sure that you all see that that's your time banner across the bottom that came up. So that's an indication that we should wrap up. I know that was the first timed slate answer. So just be mindful of that. Thank you. We're actually going to move to the independents and then to the other slate for this question. So we're going to start with Mr. Sanan. And sir, you're still muted.
Yes, I like to propose something different. Working in the private sector, one of the things that work for me is that every second week of every month, we kind of do an evaluation to see where we at in terms of how was our spending. So whatever we voted on, so whatever the first month is, we evaluate. It gives us about 2 weeks to evaluate what we spend our money on. And then from there, discuss it with the board. And then that's when we go back to our residents and communicate with them. With that said, it allows us to see where's the waste. yes, I agreed with Alex. Yeah, we should get a budget officer, but at the same time, since we don't have one now, by evaluating it on a consistent basis monthly, we able to see where's the waste. What are we spending our money on? Did we achieve the goal that we needed to achieve? Because we have one short year. So instead of waiting every quarter, every month, we should evaluate how we spent our money, whether we meet the goal for the budget that we had allocated for that month, discuss it, and then have an open meeting. There's a lot of parents association that wants to know. We could communicate with the parent associations, and with that, they could carry that information to other groups. So for me, second week of every month, we need to evaluate what we spent our money on. That's my goal, and that's my plan.
Thank you. That was very succinct. We are going to move to the other independent candidate, Mr. Nawaz.
So when it comes to budget, I support a fully funded budget, although I feel like there's many sectors that need to be looked into it. When it comes to transparency, my whole campaign bases off of this letter CRISP: college and career readiness, innovation, stability, and the last one is procurement, which we're talking about. We need to look at how the funds are being managed properly. We're being charged 3 to 4 times than the market price when it comes to school lunches, when it comes to construction, when many other sectors. So because I feel like we need to look more into the procurement center and manage our budget properly. And I also agree with Mr. Alexander regarding hiring an officer. I believe having more people in our team and that look into budget will help us evaluate and make better decisions. At 30 seconds, I wish we had more so I can talk more.
Thank you. We'll have another opportunity to talk about budget.
To talk about on this.
Sure. So we're going to move to the Education Matters slate. So collectively, we have that amount.
No, I mean, I'll start and then you can follow up. So I just want to say that hiring a budget officer is wasteful spending. That's how your taxes increase. The business administrator in the school district is very capable of doing the job of yes and no. When I was writing my charter, for instance, the business administrator I was working with would always ask me the following question. That's a wonderful idea, but where are you going to get the money? And that's because she was efficient and knew exactly what it was that she was doing. So if the business administrator is not capable of managing the budget and being very clear about where the money is going, then that means that the board is not doing their job. So the board's oversight needs to be a little more. And so in terms of making sure that the public is well aware of how to understand the budget, it's very simple. Post what's already up there, but also make it a lot more user-friendly in terms of breaking it down. We're spending this percentage on this, and then this is the dollar amount. We're spending this percentage on this, and this is the dollar amount. Those things make relative sense to people, things that they can actually understand, things that the board could have done a long time ago, but things that we can insist happens once we're elected in November.
Thank you. And I think they have a few seconds left if the other Education Matters team wants to jump in.
Okay. Again, I do believe that we have had issues with budget presentation, with management budget and all of that. For that very reason, the board has requested that we that the district starts working with the budget early on, which they're already doing, and also begin to present to the board and the community in a timely fashion so that all stakeholders and the board are aware of what's been spent, what is needed, and what is proposed for the coming year with in-depth knowledge and not just vote information. Okay, we should not be, and we've brought this up quite a few times, we should not be pushing for a vote at the 11th hour. For that very reason, we have asked the superintendent to ensure that the finance department and all of those, the BA and everyone that has to do with budget, begin a presentation early in the year, bring it to the community in various forums and venues, and then we will be ready to vote for it.
Thank you. That's your time.
Can I just respond real quick to one thing?
30 seconds for response.
Yeah, I just want to say, I know that there was a comment made about the board should have more oversight in this and that. I want to remind everyone that when you're on the board, you're not examining things at a micro level, you're examining things at a macro level. We are not involved in that level. We have asked for the actual budget to be presented more frequently, as Noemi mentioned, and I think they're going to adhere to that. But that's why you want to hire specifically someone who can be a budget officer, because they can manage the micro. We manage the macro, 50,000 foot view only.
Thank you. Still within this vein of the budget, I think one of the biggest questions people do have is what's going to happen next year when there is another budget shortfall. So we'd like to know specifically what you will do to bring in additional funds, recommend cuts in programs, staff, or contracts, and essentially how you are going to address that budget shortfall. As we know, this year part of that was raising taxes a considerable amount. So we're going to go back the other direction. We're going to start this time with our independents and then go to education matters, then change for children. So let's start with Mr. Nawaz.
So as I discussed earlier when I introduced myself, some of the ways that I plan on bringing more revenue to the board is through the tax, the payroll tax that I talked about earlier, which is 1%. That will bring a lot of revenue to our city, along with the city having a lot of tax abatements. We need to look more into that, so that would generate more income for our district. So these are just some of the ways. Along with, I plan on having, we need to be able to do funds for our schools, do fundraiser events that I on presenting that to the board and hoping that they approve this plan and we can move forward along with that. So these are just a few of the plans I plan on working on and getting the budget more budget and fully approved funded budget for our board.
Thank you. All right. We'll move on to Mr. Sanan.
Okay. Well, pretty much right now, as we all know, and I think our two, Alex as well as Naomi, can back me up on this one. The city have not given us the rightful amount of money that's needed, that they promised to give. So for one, I would enter into a stronger negotiation, working with the city, using an outside group to make sure I have facts and data that shows that the city owes us more than what they are currently giving us. As Hassan mentioned, yes, the payroll taxes, we were supposed to get money, but yet the city have not opened the book and let us know what is coming in. So therefore, they have not given the board the amount that is needed. In addition, there are a lot of private sectors that are willing to assist, to help out. We haven't tapped into those resources yet. And my case is, especially when it comes to STEM program, culinary program, nursing program, there's quite a few programs that I believe we could go outside and get some funding from our private sectors to make sure that we have the necessary funding. Most importantly, I did mention earlier, if we start evaluating on a monthly basis and see where we are wasting money, we'll be able to kind of save money and be able to allocate those money to the rightful place. That way we don't have to go back and add additional taxes to our property owners. And lastly, I want to say we have a lot of items that we are not using, and we could see how can we sell those items? How can we auction these items to bring in some additional revenues? And that's my take here.
Thank you. All right, what did I say we were on next? Education Matters? I think so. So Education Matters, you're up.
Okay, so I just want to say that I definitely agree with everything that has already been said. There definitely needs to be a lot more partnerships. And of course, I'm going to say a decrease in wasteful spending and an increase in efficiency. So the board definitely has the opportunity to maximize the grant writing and partnerships that could also take place within the city, both private and publicly, who could also offset some of the programs that are happening outside or, after school for some of the students. And I also wanted to say that the board's job is governance, and at the committee meetings, they do get to see a lot more on the micro level.
And to add to that, I'd like to say that presently we do have a grant writer in the district, and we encourage through the superintendent that grant writer is out there seeking seeking and writing proposals for greater grants that will help us offset, some of the costs that we have. But what happens also is that a lot of our grants are geared only to specifics, and we need to expand that to ensure that we get greater grants for greater programs.
Thank you. Anything else from Education Matters? I think you have a few seconds left before we'll move to Change for Children. Okay, we'll move to Change for Children.
Okay, real quick. I want to just say, first of all, nobody wants to cut. Okay, we don't want to cut. We want to make sure that we're keeping our teachers, keeping our programs. That's very important for us because we feel like we're starting to make some progress. But we do have to look for waste. Okay, we absolutely have to look for waste. That's very important in what we're doing. So when we're spending money, it's being spent efficiently. We do have to make sure that our partnerships are maintained. I want to go back to the state and talk to them about this because they basically made us jump off a cliff with how quickly they took their money from us, especially when you compare us to a district like Newark, which gets about 93% of their budget funded by the state. Now, granted, their ratables are not nearly as high as ours, but that's not really the point. Secondly, you've got to go back to the county. The county is investing in a school right next to Liberty Science Center. So they have enough money to build a school for themselves and then take the best kids out of our district to put them in that school, but they can't help us with our school. So I think we have to go to the county and ask them a little bit about that. Third, you've got the city. The payroll tax was mentioned. Has the city done a great job of collecting it and enforcing it? No, because it's not a rule that they actually believed in. But if it's going to be the law, it should be enforced, and those monies should be collected and maintained and then given to the schools. I think we also have to, be in the situation with the city where we have to basically look at books and understand why certain monies are not coming to us. I mean, granted, the school budget is larger than the entire budget of the Jersey City right now, but I think we do have to see where their money's going, and I would like to work closely with them to get a partnership going with that. I also am a strong believer in grants. I think there are more we can do with that, but I don't think that's going to close the gap all the way. So the fear is that we're going to be right back here next year talking about a very high tax hike once again for the residents of Jersey City. We have to do everything we can to avoid that. We have to leave no stone unturned. And Kenny, I'll let you take over the rest of it.
Yeah, so everything that Alex mentioned is completely true. We definitely have to go back to the city. We have to go back to the state. And we have to go back to the county because this is a collective problem. It's not an isolated problem when it comes to the board of education. But what I want to say is this. I know we're around out of time. Is that we're not going to go ahead and burden the taxpayers anymore. The city just passed a budget for $724 million, which is the increase of $1,000 to property owners, on top of the $1,600 roughly for the board of education as passed last year, on top of the $900 that was passed in 2020. So that's off the table in terms of actually going back to the tax owners, the property owners, and burdening them.
Thank you. Well, you guys are doing a great job. I have a lot of questions left on this. I know we're getting closer to the end of time, so I'm skipping a few things. The next question I have is a little pointed. I'm going to actually go through individual candidates on this one. You've all suggested a lot of things that can be done. It has to do with building relationships. It has to do with speaking with the city, with the county. It has to do with being very involved. This is a position that is a volunteer position, an elected position, and you all have day jobs and families. And this question is really, how much time do you as an individual think that you will be devoting to this position if you are elected?
I'll take that. Okay. Well, first thing first. Okay. 9 members. Before we go outside, we got to work together all of us. We got to make sure that we all understand what's the goal. And then from there, it's not a matter of one of us going to the city or the state. It's all of us collectively sit down, decided who's the top two, who's the top three that's going with the backing of the rest. So it is unfair. It's not right. Like I said, I own 3 properties with my wife, and every time you guys pass the increase, it hurts me times 3. So again, it is true when you really look at it, the city have not provided its fair share to the board. Instead, they are pointing fingers directly to the board. Is that right? The answer is no. And what can we do if we go back to our private sectors, really create a great model? They would want to come in and assist. That's for sure. Now, as far as the timing, I'm committed to it. I'm a self-employed. I own my own business for the last 12 years. I have great staff working for me, so I don't need to be here. Primarily, I'm barely here. My staff is doing a great job. My wife is filling whenever she needs to fill in. So we're doing well. So I understand it's an unpaid job, and I'm committed to get the job done. Whatever it takes to make sure that there's no tax increase, I'm in for it.
Great. Could you give me a specific amount of time you think you'll spend each month?
I would say a good 15 to 20 hours a week. If more needed, definitely. But I would say, no, I'm sorry, roughly about 20 to 25 hours a week.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to move down just through the list. Let's go to Mr. Reyes. Same question.
Yeah, in terms of the commitment level, then I'm all in. And as a testament to the voters is, and my partner Alex and I, we've been saying this, is that our commitment is that you're going to see us a lot more just outside from the regular board meetings. So every month we will be in a ward, we will be in a different district, and we actually will be communicating with the public in terms of what's going on the board education level. In terms of the weekly specific kind of numbers, it could range. It could be at an average. It could some weeks could be 20 weeks, some weeks could be 30 weeks. It all depends, right? So some of these events I can probably bring my children with me. So it's something that is extremely important for me, and when fully committed. So it's it's a job that yes, it's a volunteer job. However, it's a job that has a lot of importance. Our children needs our full attention. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know. Did you say a specific amount of time you expect to spend?
Yeah, on average, it could be an average from like the 20 to 30 hours a week, roughly.
30 per week. Okay. All right, we're going to go to Ms. Mohammed next.
Okay, so the question is, how much time can I dedicate to the position? So I've already dedicated a lot of my time to the schools, and I have no problem meeting with parents in their groups, even community groups that want to be educated on some of the things that I know. I have a lot of knowledge. I know how to do research. I'm a creator of programs, got a slew of them in my head. So I can pretty much dedicate a lot of my time. I'm not employed right now. So I'm open to a lot of, could go pretty much anywhere and do meetings with, if I'm letting known ahead of time. So I love volunteering, and that's why I'm running too, because it's not a paid position. I don't usually take money for the things I do, but people tell me I should, but that's just me.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to go to Mr. Nawaz with the next that same question.
So before I get into how much time I could spend, right, I'll tell you my commitment to how committed I am. When I was in college, I was doing 9 to 5 full-time job at an IT firm. I was taking 21 credits, still maintaining all A's. And on top of that, working as a server, and weekends I would do real estate, and I would manage all of that because that's how I work. I like working as much as I can. I cannot stay a single second free. So for me, I'm available fully at any time needed because I work for the people. I grew up in this city and I want to serve. And I've committed myself into making this district one of the greatest districts in the world. So as much as it's needed. So if you ask me a number, I would say 25 to 30 hours a week, but as much as is needed. Because I've taken this a commitment in making this one of the greatest districts.
Thank you. All right, next we'll have Mr. Hamilton.
It's a little unfair because I'm on the board, so I kind of know the answer to this question. And it's the same thing for Noemi. Listen, it also depends very much on the week, right? Because we have committee weeks, then we have weeks like this week. This is a killer week with all these forums. Don't forget, Noemi and I had to do a caucus on Monday. We're doing a school board meeting tomorrow night. We'll be there till midnight. So the meetings alone are generally 6 hours in those weeks. So that's literally 12 hours of meetings in just 1 week. That doesn't include school visits. That doesn't include talking to city officials. That doesn't include talking to parents. Sometimes you don't have to go anywhere. If you're personable and you're giving your number out to people because they want to talk to you about stuff, you're going to be working even while you're working, right? So a lot of times what happens is the hours can sort of blend together and you don't necessarily know, like, well, did I just assign 8 hours to that, or when did that happen, or what happened, right? So it's almost harder to answer that question as a board member because they can come out and say 20 to 25 hours a week, and that's what it's going to be. It's not always going to be that way. There'll be weeks where it's heavier, and there'll be weeks when it's lighter. On average, it would be about 20 hours. But there's weeks when it could be lighter than that, and there's definitely weeks when it can be more than that. Noemi knows exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. I'm going to go to Mr. Tisdale then, and then we'll end it with Ms. Velasquez. Mr. Tisdale.
Well, I do think that Alex makes a very good point in that there's not a specific number of hours you can pinpoint in terms of how many hours you're going to spend doing this, and that. It would depend on what's going on in the district and how much time is needed for whatever it is. So one thing about me is I'm definitely committed. Nothing's going to be looked at. Everything is getting looked at. Every T that's not crossed will be questioned. Every I that's not dotted will get questioned. So, my commitment is definitely there. Anything that I do, I give 150% because that's just who I am. So whatever it takes is what I will do. I have a full-time job and a part-time job, and I'm always looking for other things to do. And they all get 100%. Teachers always bring their work home.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Ms. Velasquez.
Yes, thank you. And I have to agree with both Alex and Chris. It does take a while. My luck is that I'm retired. So I have an opportunity. It's not that I'm sitting around at home, but I have the opportunity to get out there. But that commitment has always been in me. I didn't just start when I was at the board, and it will not stop, if I'm not on the board. Because what happens, as Alex said, we have a week that we have to do at least 20 hours. And then again, as I was doing today prior to this commitment with all of you, I was at a school because there was an event. Principals will call on you constantly. Parents will call on you constantly to attend their events. So it's like a never-ending commitment. And you really have to have your heart in it and make the time for it. And believe me, it is worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So that was based on an audience question. We're running short on time, so we're going to go to a couple of those. One that is, I think, to Mr. Hamilton's point, more appropriate for those who are not incumbents, goes to the amount of time the new candidates has spent at board meetings, their understanding of the committee system, and how much time they've spent in schools. So paint us a picture in less than a minute this is going to go to those who are not incumbents, of how much time you actually spent interacting with the school board and how much paint a picture of your understanding of its operations and your connection with JCPS right now. So we're going to start with that, and we're going to go from my bottom of my list up. So we're going to start with Mr. Tislade.
Who?
Mr. Tislade?
Tisdale?
Oh, sorry, Tisdale. I apologize.
Oh, okay. So as when I worked at the charter school, for instance, here in Jersey City, Schaumburg, before it closed, in 2009, there was the state took it over, so to say, and reappointed the board. So I sat on the board of trustees, voted on issues, formed a board when I did the charter school. Although we didn't get our final approval, worked with board members. I am a product of the Jersey City Public Schools. I graduated from here. I'm a resident of the town. I don't work here. Well, obviously, it would be a conflict of interest, but I'm very familiar with a lot of the people here in terms of what's going on. I have godchildren that have attended the public schools here, and nieces and nephews. So in terms of familiarity, I do definitely understand it's all about governance, setting policy that actually works and that is being utilized in terms of making decisions. So that's what I have to say in regards to that.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move up to the next candidate, and I would like to be more clear about the recent connection with the Board of Education, not just a connection with JCPS generally speaking. How much have you been connected with meetings, attendance to those, and otherwise? So we're going to go up to Mr. Nawaz next. And you're Mr. Nawaz, you're muted right now.
When it comes to the connection with Jersey City Board of Education, Jersey City Public School, I grew up here. I live here, and I've been always attending any events or fundraisers or I can. And recently, I've been attending as much as I could based on my job requirements, based on what I've been attending. And I was part of the process that Musab Ali was involved in when he was going through, when he was retiring. I would attend his meetings, and I understand what I went through while growing up in the school district and what kind of things that were needed. And now I would like to pursue those and move forward and attending those meetings and making those things happen. You guys hear me?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sanan, next.
Okay, as for myself, over the last 10 years, I have worked with numerous parents, working with schools as far as new entry, kids with disability, any issues. At times, I do have a specific board member that I call to get some feedback. But as far as my experience and what I know that I want to do is mostly review policies, and I kind of view a few requirement of what expected of us. And my biggest area is review policies that we have put in place in the past that have not worked. And I want to amend those policies, work with the rest of the board to amend those policies to make things work. And also supporting our superintendent, making sure that when it's time to evaluate our superintendent, we have no excuses, because once you get the support, there's no excuses. And making sure our principals or school are clean, that's my take here.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mohammed?
Okay, so how much time have I spent with the school board?
Connected with the school board and its work. So
okay, so connected with the school board and its work. All right, so I have attended meetings when my children were in school, where I spoke up for the arts program, the theater arts program at PS23 when they were moving the teacher. So advocating for pretty much the parents and the students, saying we still need this program. Unfortunately, it was too late, and us finding out. So, it left, and then we soon find out that we still need the arts program, and it's put back. Also, I have attended meetings and supported school students at the meetings when they were changing the name of the Barack to the Barack Obama School. I supported actually Musab Ali when he was running for the board the first time, and I reported an article on his campaign. I also attended. I was on the Title I parent as a parent. A parent representative in the Title I at Trenton. That was really far, so I couldn't really get out there and be as efficient as I wanted to. But I did do that. I was trained by Stan when the Jersey City Public Schools brought that in. So I know the protocol to build a relationship with the principal and on up into the administration. I've given my time in the public schools with art and also with mentoring, meditation, and supporting children on their social emotional needs. So I've supported teachers in the classroom, and I understand their need to have parents in the school and the community supporting the school as well. So I unfortunately I had Corona in 2019, and that stopped me in 2020. So it stopped me from being as active as I wanted to be. And then recently I had an accident, so my ability to be at any meeting, I do watch them on Facebook and try to keep abreast of what's going on, and that's pretty much it. So I do have put my time in.
Yep, thank you. Great. And then Ms. Ray is your last one, I believe, on this question.
I'm sorry, did you say Kenny Reyes?
Yes.
Oh, okay, got it. So so I've actually been watching the board meetings since January of this year. I've also participated in speaking at the public meetings as well. I've also participated in speaking in the T1 meetings also. So I've been very active when it comes to the board operations. So it's been very, very present and vocal.
Great. Thank you. We are close to time. I think if it's okay with the candidates, we'll go over just a couple of minutes. I want to ask one more audience question, and then I would like to point to everyone still watching. I appreciate everyone who's been here tonight. We'll ask this last question, and then we'll do a quick wrap up by each slate and candidate. We are posting to the Facebook page all the answers to the pre-forum survey, which addresses a lot of the questions that people have posted tonight. So thank you all to all the candidates who filled that out. This last question is coming in, and it's asking, all right. Can you talk about the student experiences, the experiences students have regularly, and how you can ensure that those are good experiences, both in the classroom, in the schools, and also with regard to food? So let's start with the Change for Children slate. We'll go back from that first one. We're going to do 2 minutes per slate, one for independence.
Okay, so we talk about the experience for students, what's so important. One of the big things I think we need to do, and is going to happen shortly, is we're going to have a meeting about this $89 million that we got from the state. We're going to really concentrate on infrastructure. Because I think one of the big things that plagues children in the schools right now is their actual experience in the physical school. So we can talk about the learning aspect, but we also have to talk about making sure that these schools are environments that are conducive to learning. The classrooms are very outdated. The bathrooms are, I don't even want to talk about that. It's just really bad. I think a child should feel not only, that they have privacy in a bathroom, but they should feel safe in a bathroom, and they should feel clean in the bathroom. We don't have that right now. That can be a very big deal for a child, throughout the day. As far as the food goes, I would say we need to check into more vendors because I do think that we pay more for our food, and I don't know that we get the same value as what other districts should. So I think that's something we need to look at. I know that there are a few vendors who have serviced Jersey City in the past, and it's been a problem. It's something we really need to research, because lunch is, and breakfast is a very fundamental part of children's days, because a lot of our children who are from some of the more impoverished areas may not be getting the proper food balance at home. So a lot of times parents are relying on their children to get meals at schools. So I just think in general, the biggest thing I want to try to improve for them is their physical, visit at the physical school. What is that like? How can we make that more comfortable, and how can we make them feel more comfortable so that learning is secondary for them? And I want to turn it over to Kenny for the remainder of that.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly what my partner Alex mentioned. The infrastructure school is extremely important right now when it comes to the experience of the student. No child actually wants to go to a classroom where you have problems with the heating and ventilation. I have problems also with the cooling system specifically. So you don't want to be in a hot classroom. You don't want to be in a really cold classroom as well. Also, when it comes to leaky roofs, problems when it comes to missing doors in bathrooms, the water specifically when it comes to potable water drinking. That could definitely be improved. But overall, it's part of this $89 million budget now, but it constitutes in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the experience as well for the children. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, 2 minutes. We're going to go to Education Matters. Same question.
Could you please, I lost connection. Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah. Can you talk about how we can ensure students have positive experiences in school and in classrooms, in their school buildings in general, and with food?
Oh, absolutely. May I? Okay.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Our schools are very old. Most of our schools are very old. Therefore, we have a huge problem with the infrastructure, and we have a huge problem with not just the doors in the bathrooms, but also the doors in some of our schools for the safety, the outside doors. So all of those things so that the students can feel safe, and not just the students, but also that everyone that's in there can feel safe. We need to start working with that. As far as for the students to feel that they're getting a proper education, they do need to have rooms that are regulated for and well ventilated, heat and air and whatever. I know that some of our schools we have encouraged and we have pushed for air conditioners. We need to push that for all schools that are antiquated, or our age schools, not just for some of them. As with regards to the food, I know that we have a committee led by Gina Vertibello that is working diligently on ensuring that the students have the best food that is also culturally inclined. Okay, because we do have some children that can only eat certain foods. And also, she is promoting food tasting for parents and for us. I don't know if that's going to be another one, but I know she had one of those meetings last month. We definitely need to encourage that takes place so that the parents know exactly what the children are eating, and the children are eating food that is healthy. And a healthy child will enjoy education, but they also have to have good and safe surroundings, not just the best instruction, but the best of everything. All of our children.
Thank you.
I just want to add really quickly that the infrastructure and all of that is wonderful, and I'm glad that the board is actually looking at what to do with the $89 million in terms of taking care of the facilities. The students need a voice, and so since they're the ones being impacted most, I think that we need to find out what is it that you're interested in, so that we can gear curriculum toward them a little more relevant in terms of meeting the standards, but also meeting the needs of the students, and also let them be a part of the tasting. They're the ones eating the food.
Right.
Good idea.
Right.
Yes, we're going to move to the two independent candidates now, and then each slate and candidates will also have time to wrap up. So let's go with Mr. Sanan to start.
All right. Well, aside everything everyone said, those should come basic. This should be our job. We should make sure that every student have those things without having to work for them. But what I am proposing is that we expect our kids to learn, but we also need them to express themselves. I agree with Tishdale by saying they need a voice. And my plan on giving them a voice, there are so many things that they could do as far as they could express themselves, what they learn outside school or in school, whether if a student want to do fashion, we need to support them and the school to have their own fashion show. We need to bring back allowing them to have certain type of dance in school, interaction with teachers, partnering, making sure that they create those things, whether it's invention that they created. We need to have presentation, artwork, whatever they created. We need to have art night for them. Anything that they want to do, we should be able to have give them the opportunity to work with teachers, principal, as well as ourselves to support them to make that a consistent event. Most time we complain about kids don't have anything to do or they outside creating problems. But if there's an event almost every other month or every month that they are displaying their talent, I think that's what's going to make school fun for them or make them feel like they are contributing to the school that they have. And it's a great composition in between schools, this school doing this and that and so on. And I think that's a great engagement. And if I get the opportunity to join the board, this is what I'm going to push for our student. They will have a voice, they will display that voice, and we will make sure the teachers, the principals, as well as ourselves support them. And it's not going to be a dead project. It will happen.
And let us not forget their social, emotional, and mental health. That's quite important. And the district is working towards that.
Thank you. We're going to move to Mr. Nawaz now. Thank you.
Having a positive experience in school life is very essential, and having good infrastructure and good experience in school and air conditioning is a basic right for every student, and we must work towards getting that done. But along with that, like Naomi and said, that we need to look towards mental health, especially after COVID-19. We need to have students express themselves. We need to have more. We need to look more into that, and we need to hold a survey for the students that ask them what do they like more, so we can do more of those activities. We need to take our students out to more trips so they can experience more, rather than, as you know, more students are staying home and playing games. This new having to go to more field trips would open them to more experiences and open them to what they actually want to do in their life. And so I feel like, and along with the food, we need to ask them and hold surveys and what kind of foods they like, so that way we can come up with better solutions for the students of Jersey City.
Thank you. Okay. That's our last question. We're going to move into just closing statements. For this, we're going to, again, go from slate to slate and then have our independent candidates speak. So we're going to do 2.5 minutes for each slate and then 1.5 minutes for our independent candidates. I think we should actually just go back the other direction. Mr. Nawaz, you can kick us off with 1.5 minutes for a closing statement.
So, like I mentioned earlier, my whole campaign starts at just this word crisp. Basically, if I get the opportunity to be part of the board, I would like to work towards getting the students ready for college and career readiness. It's very important that when students graduate high school, they're ready for college, they're ready for the toughness, the mental stability, because college is not easy. It's very, very tough. And next thing I want to work towards is innovation. If we work together with students and have more innovation towards, it creates more creativity. More creativity means better district, greater, better results for the students. And next thing I want to work towards is stability. See, as a board member, I think it is very important to stabilize staff across the district, as well as we must stabilize the budget of Board of Education. So the way to do that is through payroll taxes, is to enforce payroll taxes, is to also work towards the so many tax abatements we have, and also work with the county and build a better relationship with them and making this one of the greatest districts. And the last thing I want to talk about is work towards procurement. As you see, procurement is a major issue, because there's a lot of contracts that go to the same vendors over and over throughout the years, and they're being charged 3 to 4 times what they're worth. So I feel like we need to diversify those. We need to work with people, newer people, and get the right pricing. And this way we can increase our budget, and also have a fully funded budget. So these are just few of the things if I get the opportunity as a board member, I would be looking towards working at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to Mr. Sanan, the other independent candidate.
Okay, well, given the opportunity to join the board, my core focus will be making sure that there is no additional property taxes set by the board here. And the best way to achieve that, and the best way I'm going to work extremely hard, is by working with the 9 members, all of us together, making sure that we understand what is the common goal. I said it over and over. I am going to engage effectively with all partners, state, city, and county, and also private sectors, to assure that we bring the funding necessary to avoid having to go back in the pocket of our property taxpayers as well as business owners. In addition, I am very committed to make sure that our kids have a voice in the school. They will have to create, they have to demonstrate some of their talent in our school, fashion show, culinary, any invention that they are created, they will display. We're gonna showcase that and invite people to come in and see those things. And lastly, we have a lot of contracts that we have not renegotiated. We have a lot of contracts we have not reviewed to see how we could save. And that's where I'm going to focus and making sure that we could renegotiate some of our old contracts that used to cost a lot and now are so much cheaper and much better in today's time, as opposed to when we contract those contracts. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to Education Matters, 2.5 minutes for the whole slate.
Okay,
I'll go first.
go ahead.
To
hon.
be very sure. Okay, so my name again is Afaf Muhammad. I'm Education Matters 3I, and I thank you for having me on the and for your attention here tonight. And some of the things that I wanted to bring up is the student body inside of the school, the student bodies, representatives in schools being more connected with the board members and actually with the students, being well known by the students, because I think that would be even a more effective way to get information and what the students need and what they want and what's going on in the school, so that it can be addressed. And that's following the protocols, because sometimes things get thrown out in the air and it gets forgotten. So that's one. And then I just wanted to point out that what Jersey City is experiencing is a fluctuation of high tax people, so residents. So when we have a lot of people that have a high tax bracket, that takes away from our funding, because it no longer allows the impoverished people's. So there's a formula. The impoverished people don't have a high value. So that's where we see state cuts, and that's where we see city taxes going up, because if you have a lot of people that can afford it, it's going to happen. I'm looking forward to serving Jersey City students and teachers in 2023.
Okay. Anything else from Education Matters?
I'm just kidding.
Yes. Okay. First of all, yes, I want to thank you for opening this forum today and inviting us all. I always think that this is so important for us to share, whether we're on the same team or not. We're all learning from each other, and the ideas that others bring, we can always take it to the board, those of us that are there. I must say that in as much as it pained me having to vote for a budget as we did, I'm excited that we do have the budget. I'm also excited, and I'm excited that, for the programs and initiatives that are proposed by our new leadership and her team. And I think with local control, now our hands are not tied, and we can do great things for our students and our children, in turn for our community. So I'm hoping to come back and continue what we've already started. As I said, I am excited because I am part of this district in many ways. So as a member of Education Matters, I am one eye, and I hope that you will take into consideration my my return with my colleagues 2I and 3I. Thank you.
Ms. Velasquez. I'm going to give another 30 seconds so Mr. Tisdale can wrap up too.
Okay, I'll just say, first and foremost, thank you for having me. I'm not a politician. I have nothing to personally gain in terms of politics from this. I believe in equity for all children. I believe in transparency. What are you doing and why are you doing this? I think the students should have opportunities to learn and thrive in environments that offer them countless opportunities. And that's not just college and career readiness, but that's focusing on what is the student going to be most successful at. I am part of Team Teach, where we are looking for transparency, equity, true accountability. We want to be responsible to the community and completely honest about everything that's going on. Chris Tisdale, 2I.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, Change for Children can wrap it up for us.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, as a board member, I'm very proud of the way I've voted on this board for the past 3 years. I think when it's come to the most important votes, I have voted against this budget 3 times, not because I did not want to fully fund the schools, but because the budget went up during a pandemic and now it's going up again during inflation. I don't think those were the right things to do when imposing the taxpayers at this time. As far as the other big item to vote for, that's actually doing a superintendent search. I voted for that. Again, not taking anything away from Dr. Fernandez, but those are our 2 biggest responsibilities, and I will always stand behind those votes. I want to work with the city to make sure that we're doing the right thing as far as the money's coming in, the state and the county. You're already aware of that. My big concerns are having this board become 9 union membered, sponsored candidates on this board. I think that would be a very big mistake for this district, because if you think your taxes went up before, just wait till there are 9 sponsored members by the union on this board. Your taxes will go up again. So if you want to hold the administration accountable, if you want there to be responsible spending, if you want things like contracts and vendors and budgets to be under control, if you want accountability and transparency, true accountability and transparency, you will vote for the Change for Children team, because that's what we stand for. Thank you. I'm Alexander Hamilton, and I'm 8I on the ballot. Kenny.
All right, so round it off. So I just want to say thank you again for inviting us tonight, the Jersey City Heights Forum, Nick for hosting, Riverview Neighborhood Association, the Heights Community Association, the Nitty Gritty Social Group, as well as Lindsay. So everything my partner Alex mentioned is completely true. So look, we're not against specifically fully funding the schools. That's not what we're against. What we are against is this massive balloon budget where there's actually hardly any oversight and hardly any transparency, hardly any accountability. We don't have a business administrator at the moment now. We have an interim one. And we need to actually hire one specifically that has experience. Is going to go in and say, hey, you can approve, get approved a couple projects, approve other projects you're not, right? We are specifically do not want to put more tax burden on any of the homeowners at all. It's not fair to them. It's not fair for the renters whatsoever. That's not a solution at all. It's unsustainable. Another thing is this, is that we're going to go in there. We're actually going to go and start creating new specific efficiencies when it comes to the budget, because everything stems from the budget specifically. We're going to work very closely with Dr. Fernandez. We're actually going to go ahead and have better diplomatic relationships when it comes to the city, when it comes to the state as well, and it comes to the county. That's something we can count on. You're also going to see us as well, as I mentioned earlier. We will be in the community. We will be providing feedback. We want feedback. We want we want the community to hold us accountable for the decisions going on specifically in the board, right? Hold us accountable for our track record. Hold us accountable for our voting record as well. Because at the end of the day, what we want to do is actually create an efficient budget, which is going to create a better district for everyone. It's the teachers union contract is coming up. All right. If you have specific 9 members that's going to be on the board, most likely you're going to lead towards whatever the teachers want, right? We want something that's fair, but it's not going to bankrupt our district. So when it comes to transparency, when it comes to accountability specifically, we are the true team that's actually leading on that forefront. So we are Change for Children. My name is Kenny Reyes, and I am 7I. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. I would like to thank again all the candidates who joined us tonight. We really appreciate you taking part in our forum. I'd like to say thank you also again to all the community organizations and leaders and the people who helped host this forum. I think I would also just like to say I appreciate all of you being very forthcoming with your perspectives. I think it's very clear that you all have, while different perspectives on how you want to approach the job of being a Board of Education trustee, that you I mean, the kids in the schools are there for you, that you want them to improve. You want the best for the city. So I appreciate that. For all the audience members, we are going to, again, post a link to an information document that has many of the things we talked about tonight, but also additional survey questions that were filled out by the candidates. If you have any questions about those, we'll have our contact information in that document as well. Jocelyn, I think that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you all very much. Have a good night.
Folks, have a good
Have
night.
a good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you, everybody.